If you ever looked at people who seem to be journaling daily and thought, how do they do it? Well, the truth is, they are not that consistent. We all fall off the wagon and that's normal, so don't worry about it. But what we are going to do in this video is to increase the number of times that we actually journal with some tips on how to become more consistent at journaling. But before we get into the how, let's actually understand why. Why should we care about journaling? Well, I have been journaling since 2015 and there is some benefits that I have gotten from this practice. The first one is it's given me so much clarity about everything that is going on in my life. We live in a world in which we are always stimulated. We go to the toilet, we bring the phone. We go to the gym, we are listening to music. We are driving, we listen to podcasts. There is basically zero time in which we are just by ourselves in solitude thinking. So journaling provides us that. In the end, it's a safe space where we are just speaking to ourselves. And okay, now you could tell me that we don't need journaling just to think, because we can just, meditate or just think on a chair and think. And you may be right, but personally, I have found that I'm much more focused whenever I'm writing than, for example, just thinking. And also, I don't know about you, but sometimes I lose even track of what I'm thinking about. So if this ever happens while we are writing, we can just read the paragraphs that we have written before, and that will remind us. We cannot do that by thinking. So that is another benefit. By journaling, I have also realized that I have gotten a little bit better at organizing and articulating my thoughts. Because let's be clear, the ability of presenting ideas, it is very valuable in today's world. And honestly, it is not something that I was born with. So I feel that by writing and by presenting my ideas via writing to myself almost every day, I'm slowly improving this skill. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because when we are writing, that is exactly what we are doing. We are forced to structure our ideas, to articulate them, to explain them. So we are just getting the reps into making ourselves a more articulate person. And in the end, this is going to translate into me being more persuasive when I'm trying to sell something, or just being able to appear as more intelligent than I really am in front of others. I have also found that journaling can reduce my stress during hard times. Writing about everything that is going wrong with our lives can actually help us release the tension that we've been holding, because probably by writing about it, we may realize that we don't need to worry so much about that. That is not that big of a deal. Or even better yet, just by writing about it, we may even find a solution to that. And the last benefit that I have found is that I have actually become to understand myself better and to know better who I am. Well, I think since I'm born, I have always heard that the hardest person to actually know is oneself. But why could that be? I've been thinking about this, and what I have realized is this. I think it is easier to know others because the way that we used to know other people is by having conversations with them. We ask questions, we notice the expressions that they use, the things that they like, the values that they have. But how many times do we actually talk to ourselves to know ourselves better? And I'm sorry, but talking to plants don't apply here. So this is actually what journaling helps with, because it is basically just talking to ourselves by writing. Okay, so now that we have laid down the main benefits that I have found through journaling, where can we actually journal? Because this is not as easy as it sounds. Well, first we can go down the route of using some apps for journaling. Here I will have 3 recommendations. The first one, it will be a dedicated journaling app, which in my case will be Day One. This app is available for all platforms and it actually can synchronize over the devices, and you can even set a password so no one can read your journals without your permission. Another app that I will use will be Rome Research, which seems that it was kind of made for journaling, because as soon as you enter into the app, you will be presented with today's page, where you can just start writing stuff. And the third one will be Notion, which will need a little bit of time to set up because you will have to create a database, but it's equally capable. And outside of the apps, the main option will be pen and paper. And here everything works. Doesn't matter which pen, doesn't matter which notebook, but I'm personally very big fan of Moleskine notebooks, like this one over here. They're very simple. I bought this in 2015 and you can see that is quite new. I don't know, they just feel so high quality. And then you can actually open them, smell them. I don't know. There is something too physical that I still love. Well, there is so many options out there, so the best way to choose yours is going to be to try them all. But since I've been doing this since 2015, let me walk you through my process and the things that I've been using and what I have gotten out of those options. because in the end, we mostly all go through the same, so probably you can feel also identified and know what's going to come. Well, during the first 5 years, so since 2015 to 2020, I was just using pen and paper. In fact, it was this one. So if we see the first entry here, this is October 23, 2015. And yes, in the beginning, the first weeks, I was quite consistent because I was so excited to finally be journaling. But then my consistency fell off. Even sometimes entire months passed and I didn't journal at all. But then someday I will remember about the journaling practice and I will start journaling back again every day. But then I fell off the wagon. So this is what always happens. I was being consistent for 1 week, let's say, and then I forgot an entire month without journaling. And during these 5 years, I never managed to make this habit consistent. But then in 2020, I started to use Notion for journaling. I created my daily pages database where I will go every morning and create a new page and write there. But also I was not very consistent because I don't know, Notion offered too much friction for me to go there, create a new page, name it with the day that we were in and start writing. I don't know, it just didn't feel agile for this kind of thing. And also while I was writing in Notion, I don't know why, but I always unfocus myself. I don't know, I think the app is not made for this. So I just ditched it and went back to pen and paper. But as you may imagine, same result. Some week I was consistent and then I forgot. Some week consistent and then I forgot. So then it was in the beginning of 2021 when I started journaling in Rome Research. And I don't know if it's the fact that every day a new page gets created automatically, or that it's a super fast app, or the ability to focus in one block. So everything that you see on the screen is that block and you can write everything within the block. But since I started, I have been super consistent with my journaling practice. In fact, I didn't think of this when I was scripting the video, but we can actually check this in my habits view. Let's see. Yes, journaling. We can see that this is now my best habit. 100%, 60, 80, 60, 80, 100, but this one 50. And you can see that almost from here, everything is super, super low. Okay. So this was exactly at the beginning of this year in week 12 or something like this, when I started to actually use Rome. And you can see the change over here. So here my process is very simple. I will just go to today's page in Rome. I will write my daily note template. And inside of here in the morning pages, I will focus on the block. And here I will start writing. You can see that here I'm also counting the words. And this is what I've been using for the past months. The only thing that I miss is the ability to come back to the paper, to check what I wrote like some years ago, to touch it, to feel, oh, I was here 5 years ago. I was writing this in this very paper. This is something that we cannot do with apps. But well, this is what is actually making me consistent with the habit. So I guess I'm going to continue with it. So now the next question may be when to journal, because again, this is a habit. So we have to be very careful when we decide to start journaling because we want this habit to stick, right? So from what I have seen, there is 2 main schools of thought here. There is people that journal in the morning before they start to do anything, and there is people that journal at night before they go to bed. So I think the best thing that you can do here is to try them both. Try journaling in the morning for, 1 or 2 weeks, and try journaling before bed for 1 or 2 weeks and see how you feel, what sticks more. In my case, I do it right before starting to work. And now journaling serves me to tell my brain that it's time to get in the flow of working, okay? So because it's always the action that leads me towards working. But again, you do you, so try them both and see what works. Okay, so now that we have said why we should care about journaling with all the benefits, we have found which app or pen and paper we may be using. We know the options that we have as to when to journal. So now, how the heck do we actually journal? How do we do it? Okay, let's just remember what journaling is. Journaling is just you talking to yourself. So there is no rules here. There is no right or wrong. As long as you keep writing, you are doing well. But even if there is no right or wrong here, there is some difficulties that you may encounter when you are starting to journal. Difficulties that actually can make us don't enjoy the process and that can make us just stop doing it, stop journaling. And the main difficulty that I have found is, what do I write about? How do I start? My advice here will be to just let your mind go wherever he wanna go and listen to it and write about it. Just write your thoughts. And if that seems a little bit too difficult, you can actually just start by writing, I don't know what I'm going to write about, but I'm just going to continue. So you can actually just write this sentence and something is going to come up. So the main objective here is just to get started. But if once you are writing, a new thought comes to your mind and that thought seems more interesting than what you were writing, feel free to leave a sentence in the half, even if it doesn't make any sense, and continue writing about that new idea. Because remember, what you write doesn't even have to make sense. Nobody's going to read it. Probably not even you. Some days I have also found that we may feel that we want to end the practice because we are thinking about other things, we want to get to work because we are excited about what we need to get done, or some other reason. Well, since we have seen in the beginning of the video, journaling is pretty beneficial. So I think it pays off to try to force ourselves a little bit in order to write stuff every day. So what I have done is I have put a minimum of words that I have to write every day. And for me, this is 300. And until I don't reach my 300 words per day, I don't stop writing, even if I'm just writing nonsense. But if 300 seems like a lot, maybe just start with 200, with 100. It doesn't really matter, this is not a competition, but start somewhere. I know some people that write like 1,000 words every day, but that is a little bit too much for me, but feel free, this is for you. Okay, so I have already shared everything that I have learned during the past 7 years about journaling. This is a magical practice that until you are not consistent with it, you don't really get it. I think it's a little bit similar to meditation, but it is a beautiful practice. It is a beautiful process of self-discovery and something that I personally look forward every morning. Journaling, by the way, is one of the 4 habits that I do every morning. And if you want to know what the other 3 are, check out this video next, in which I walk you through each of the 4 habits and why they are going to make a difference in your life. So that is it for this video, guys. And as always, hasta la próxima.